So last week when I was talking about just that, you know, that if you weren't here, it was that question that I love to ask, like, how do you know yoga works for you? So related to this, most people know I really like to ski, and I'm having a really hard time with winter because of the lack of moisture. But it's been kind of on my mind of like this reframing that you can do. And I don't really want to talk about skiing, but it was a shift for me of trying to approach things and be grateful. And that question of like, how do you know yoga works for you? One of the things that it does for me when I remind myself to ask that before I practice, or when I kind of do anything, is it reminds me of things that I'm grateful for, and it becomes just a way to refocus. So walking out of here last week, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know, it's one thing when you can apply it to like, oh, I get onto my yoga mat and I can be the yoga teacher and I can do the yogic thing, and then I'm pissed off when we're not getting snow and there's no storms in sight, and then I'm going to leave town and I'm jokingly going, I know it's going to snow when I jump on a plane next week. But really, like, to be able to kind of take it in and be grateful with what you have. And I can say that, you know, skiing around on chalky, icy rivers was a lot of fun when you think about it a little bit differently. And again, like, that's the whole thing. Like every yoga practice, every time you come onto the mat, you know, I don't know what happened to you today, what you may be doing, what you may be dealing with, what kind of stresses, even what kind of like goals you have from your yoga practice. And if there is a way to just kind of soften some of that expectation, be a little gentler to yourself and a little more appreciative of, you did the hard work, you made it here, you're on your mat, probably can't get worse. Sit up tall. Take a nice tall seat, and again, yeah, you can always, that can always be part of your, as you get centered, of reminding yourself of like why you came today, what brought you here, why yoga is valuable to you. Because we know it takes time, it takes effort to get here, it's a chunk of time. It takes coordinating our schedules, especially with this being at a bit of an early time. So thank yourself for carving out that time, for doing all the things that allow you to be here right now. Take a breath into that and just really let yourself settle. Softening your eyes and your eyelids. Try to relax while you still sit up tall. At the end of an exhale, bring the hands together in front of your heart. It's to that gesture of your heart held out before your heart. And then join me as we sing 3 ohms, 1 round of the invocation, and an open. Take a deep breath. Spread your fingers just wide apart, or down. Heavy with your finger pads. Like that's usually the thing that we lose, is if you make your fingers stronger, the rest, all the muscles in the hands and the arms benefit from it. Work, just work through your wrists as usual. Turning the hands out, you can turn them back in. Find the areas that feel a little stuck and maybe spend a little more time on those. I mean, it does so much. I always talk a lot about like the strength of just like keeping your wrists safe when you're doing a bunch of yoga practices, or you're just weight bearing on your hands. But even like the nerves that are run through your arm and through your elbows and through your hands, like your better mobility, better soft tissue movement helps all of that stuff not get stuck and slide better. Take the back of your hands down to the floor. Has anybody ever felt like, you get tingling or numbness in your fingers or loss of strength in your hands? Like one of the scariest things I went through was ulnar neuropathy, where like I impinged the nerve in my elbow and I basically couldn't hold a fork. And it scared the living shit out of me. And I was like, uh-oh. I'll go to the doctor. And I was like, I better go see the doctor. Being also the extra part is my dad's a neurosurgeon, and he's the one that deals with that, so I have to go see somebody else. Alright, downward dog when you're ready. But just like anything, you don't take your wrists in full range of motion and load them, and they won't want to do that too well, and then all the tissue and everything that's wrapped in that tissue can get trapped. Keep the finger pads strong. Certainly, identify what the lift that happens in your arms. And just start to learn how to hold that at a level that feels strong and steady, but you can still breathe. Take your right leg up to the sky. Do the same in the legs. So spread the toes, roll the knee and the toes down a lot. So much that your outer hip comes down. And then stretch back through the leg even more. Good. Big step forward into a lunge. Take your back knee down to the floor. Walk your hands out to the left a little bit. And you got two things. So you're going to stay heavy and solid on the front foot. Lunge forward and down. You shift a little to the right into that front hip more. And then you can start to work yourself down, lower, maybe even elbows to the floor. The other thing you can do, if that position feels really easy for you, once you're down there in that bottom position, really trying to sit back onto the front heel, keep your arms low, your chest low, and then lift and drive your hips back and up. So you're scissoring your legs towards each other to create that strength. Again, you probably know if you need a little more stability work in certain positions or more flexibility. Yoga can do both. All right, work your way back up, step back, downward facing dog. And then left leg to the sky. So again, roll the toe in, so you're trying to keep your hips level. And so you're using, just identifying some of the body awareness there. Lift from here. And then stretch back more. Good. All right, big step forward into lunge. Back knee down to the floor. Walk your hands to the right. And then lunge down. So what I'm showing is you do this first. Make sure you have this end range. Flexion, knee out over the toes as much as possible. And you see you can snap the legs together and drive the hips up and back, which will change where you feel the stretch. It's worth saying, hypermobility and all that sort of stuff. There is. You may be mobile in certain positions and not others. I mean, that's pretty common. But there's different body types. So You know, it's like the density of your muscle and the way they hold will be different from person to person. One more big breath here, and then work your way back to downward facing dog. From down dog, go forward to the top of the push-up, plank pose. Squeeze your legs tight, your butt tight, pull your belly up, and then work in those finger pads into the floor. You're gonna push the ground away, and then rock yourself forward onto your tippy toes. Like, actually take your shoulders out over your fingers more. You can hold there, belly in, butt tight, and then rock back and do a few of these. If you can hang out in that front position with all those actions, yeah, go for that. Yeah, belly to the spine, but really squeezing down. So you're trying to make sure your hips are really extended. There you go, yeah. So just get your hips totally straight. All right, lower all the way down to the floor. Cobra pose, point your toes and lift your chest up. Keep trying to drag your hands back, and then down dog. The more you use and fire muscle up quick, it will warm up super fast. Take your right leg to the sky again. Yeah, keep trying to, like, if you make your foot and leg real strong, but try to lift your inner thigh more, even if it doesn't want to go up anymore. Good. Step forward, lunge. This time, come on up. Working, you can work to your front leg. You can take the arms overhead when you're ready. Oh, strong, tight through that back leg. Heavy through your front heel. Reach a little taller and keep pushing your legs down heavier into the floor to stretch up taller. The deeper you go, the more you gotta push down. Awesome. Hands to the floor, top of the push-up. So each time, try to get into that shape. Claw the floor, rock forward, tight butt, belly up, then lower slow. Cobra pose. Yeah, and then down dog. Your left leg to the sky. Strong, stretch it back. Make even the toes feel like they get bigger and brighter with the way you stretch through the leg. And then step forward, lunge. That always was a funny thing when I first started to say that, like as if you can make your toes bigger and brighter, but like there's a thing, I don't know. People have been going with it with me for years, so even if I sound crazy, yoga teachers often sound a little crazy. Strong legs, so when you anchor down and lift up even taller through the spine, even take your shoulder joint and actively lift your shoulders up. Keep the neck relaxed, breathe, and hold the fullness of all those actions. Good. And then hands to the floor, and again, back to down dog. Plank pose as you head forward. Down as you exhale. And then cobra up dog. Yeah. Good. Downward dog. Bend the knees, walk or jump all the way up to the front of your mat. So you're in a forward fold. Your feet can be narrow or wide, just make sure they really are parallel to each other. And you gotta draw imaginary lines in your feet to do that. Second toe mound to the center of the ankle is the line. And see if you lean your weight more forward into your toes, bend your knees a little, push your heels down. And anytime you bend your knees, you should feel the floor a little better. It should make it easier to get contact with the floor. You're trying to keep that as you work to re-straighten the legs. Take a few more breaths there. Heavy through neck, shoulders, and spine. And then bring your hands to your hips, lift your chest, and come all the way up to stand. Deep breath in, take your arms out, stretch. Hold your right wrist. Breathe, lengthen over to the side. Those of you that, if you keep your legs strong, drag your hips a little more to the right. Feel like you're picking your whole rib cage up off your torso even more. And the core's got to support if you just think of that. Come back up. Switch arms, go the other way. Your core will work. If you think of standing really tall, passively the transverse will do what they're supposed to do, is just keep you upright. And then back up to light. Interlace your fingers, hook back behind your head, bend your knees, squat, take your knees back as much as you can, so over your ankles, and then ground through the toes. Keep your butt back. Pull your belly in without it taking away any of that butt back action, and then lift and open your chest a little more. And then the joke usually becomes like, try to soften your face, like your eyebrows usually want to lift and all that sort of stuff. Like you keep all that soft while the physical stuff, all those actions you're working on are held. You can squat a little deeper. Keep trying to slide the hips back, and then as much length through the spine as you can. All right, all the way down, touch the floor, fold. Right arm up to the sky, open up and twist. Let your legs bend a lot at first, and really stack your shoulders. So you're really getting that bottom, that top shoulder right over the bottom. You can look up, and then you can think about trying to re-straighten the legs slowly. Breath. On the exhale, touch the floor, switch hands. And you can even, the bottom arm can even turn out a little bit so that it just is mirroring what the top hand is doing. And imagine from your left shoulder to your left hip, breathe into that space so it's, maximally long and open. Almost like as if you're going back over there. If you want this all opens, yeah. And then touch the floor, step back, plank pose, or if you want to go right to down dog, that's fine too. If you're in plank, do those actions. Push the ground away, belly and butt tight, then lower, hold that. Cobra up dog. And then down dog. Turn onto your right hand and the right edge of your foot, Vashisthasana or side plank pose. You can stack your feet if that's doable. Otherwise, you can take the top foot and step it down to the ground in front of you. But think about your bottom hand and arm nice and stable and strong there. Push the ground away. Keep the shoulders super active, and then see if you can lift your hips a little higher. Just think we're doing just like kind of activation for the shoulder in this position. Can you roll open a little more? Can you tip yourself back? Good, touch the floor, second side. And even though I'm trying to kind of push you and let you stay there a little bit, if you know you need to rest, like your elbow is quivering, better to rest than to aggravate something. Squeeze the floor. Without your hand moving, try to roll the elbow pin inside of your elbow more to the front of the room, and then lift your hips higher. Even turn your chest more open to the sky, throat and head back. Nice. Right, back to down dog. Great. Woo. Right leg to the sky. Make your way to warrior 2. Step all the way forward. Come on up. Yeah. And then open. Once you get open here, clasp your fingers behind your back. Lift your chest up. And then, so you're going to keep your ribs somewhat contained. Pull your shoulders straight back so you make your collarbones wide. Keep that. as you fold it forward. Now, of course, you're probably going to lose some of that like shoulders wide when you fold down because your spine is going to walk around. So to work that, if you put a little bend in your elbows, then shoulder blades together more, retract the heads of the arm bones, then hold that strength in the upper back as you reach through the arms, from the shoulders back out to the hands. And you can kind of like do that a few times as you learn to hold it. You want that strength, that squeeze really to be in the upper back and the shoulder blades. Good, guys. Lift your chest, come back up to warrior two. Ooh, straighten the front leg. Triangle pose. You're just going to hinge down, right hand. You can touch the block or the floor or just right below your shoulder. And then holding the leg muscles tight. That's important. Push down and make your feet ground even heavier against the mat. Use that to lengthen the spine and then even lean back. The length happens first, the lean back just becomes a consequence of you as you lengthen. All right, guys, take the hands to the mat, step back, down dog, or you can go right to plank, and you know what to do. Go through that drill and plank pose, like put your shoulders where they need to be. No, you really do. So for that, your shoulders are going it's going to be sweet like then try to hold that and like all this goes in the center of your shoulders. You're tending, big one for you is try not to squeeze the elbows. I know you've been taught that by, you know, like this like squeeze in and cheat. So think like a good healthy push-up keeps this wide. When you take your elbows in, you see what happens to the shoulders. You want to be here. You want to be like powerful. Left leg to the sky, warrior two. Just take a moment, get set in this nice and broad. You can think like the head, when the head's aligned, it should feel super light. Like when it's right over the rest of your spine, right over your pelvis. And then just take the hands behind you. Switch which fingers on top, or switch which hands on top. Keep the shoulders back as you fold down. And in order to minimize the shoulder, another thing you want to think about is your hips. The more you get those hips back, and even to lift up a little bit. So then you're really driving the thigh bones apart and creating lift through the backside of those hip sockets. Do this stuff in the shoulders too, a little bend in the elbows, retract the shoulders, integrate them more, and then stretch through the arms, keep pressing down heavy through your legs. Good. All right, lift your chest, come back up to warrior. Like nothing happened, triangle pose, straight with the front leg, keep the quad tight, and hinge, left hand down. Opening the shoulders, really good. You're stacking your shoulders. Letting the breath kind of indicate to you, guide you deeper. Like when you should just stay there and breathe for a few rounds, or when maybe you want to take it further. All right, bring the hands to the floor, make your way back. Down dog or to plank pose and through that close vinyasa. Here, I'll show you. Well, let's do this. All right, come on down. Watch for a second. You just come down to your knees. Bonus points if you want to stretch your feet and ankles. This is kind of like a nice bonus because you're going to sit back here. So this comes up a lot in shoulders, and this comes up especially like when a lot of yoga forms will have taught this because we'll do these push-ups and we'll do only minimal offense is intended. But like these really weak kind of bad push-ups where we're gonna try to use our arms to like support our body weight on, like, you know, this type of thing. And it really is the yoga push-up that we've been taught. I'll show you how you actually do this. But happy shoulders, we want this. We want our chest. So even if I'm protracting or I'm retracting, this doesn't change. My shoulders know where they're at. If I take my elbows into the sides of my body, you can try this. There's no way to keep your shoulders back or forward like that. You gotta give some room. So once the minute the elbows touch your sides, like this, you're in trouble. But you can do it. I'll show you down here. And this is a really hard push-up. So here you go. Here's how you learn how to. Here's how we do these little push-ups. As you go forward, so your elbows will spin back as you go down to the floor, but you're going to want them wide. If you come down, you lift up like this, and you can push up. So for those that want to take this deeper, honestly, you can put your knees down, and you're just trying to land your heart way out, more forward as you go. So if I go here, watch where I'm going. See how far my elbows are back? That is only because I am leaning way forward. And it's hard to get out of there for sure. So again, I don't want to be, if I'm putting my chest down between my hands, think more forward. Even as I go down, more forward. Try a few push-ups like that. So like the whole time it's forward, there's obviously going to be a limit where you're like, I am not strong enough quite yet to manage that. So you go to where you can stop and hold there, or you push back up. You see it there. It takes some practice to get strong in all these things. Like, yeah, of course. I learned it like that too initially, and then tweaked my shoulder. So as you go down, just think, I can take some weight off. It's going to be really hard. That's like an eventual goal, but like that's where you're going. That's how you get your elbows back. Like, look how far into this I am. It's very hard to do. All right, back to the down dog. Terrible.
It's terribly awesome. You know. You judge me. Like this.
All right, right leg up. Let's go warrior, or step forward into a lunge. It's a line about warrior one. It's actually a heel up lunge. And then arms up. So from here, again, if you just think tall, if you try to stand up like Superman, or pick your favorite superhero, like all of the body is going to do that. That's really a great image to have for yourself, and stand like a superhero. And then stretch up through the arms even more, taking forward, superhero. As you step forward, and now you're balancing just on your right leg, warrior 3. You can change the arm position, you can do other things. But can you hold your body with the same qualities as if you were standing tall? The pose was super easy. Probably a lot harder. That's why these poses are interesting. All right, just take your hands down to the floor. Place the hands flat out forward, so probably off your mat. Straight arms, and then rock onto your tippy toes. Take your shoulders over your wrists, or even over your fingertips is going to be easier. Squeeze the floor, and then light as you can, switch your legs, jump. Good. So do a little bit of that. Your elbows bend. Do you lose anything in your shoulders? Yeah. Those of you that can handstand, you can go up to handstand from here. But honestly, the first thing that gets you good at this is just leaving the ground and coming down. You're not looking frantic, like no big deal, and very quiet. You want something else that helps people that are scared is jump at the end of your exhale. Because if you're scared, you tend to hold your breath, and that makes it harder. All right, let's go to the wall. Let's actually, oh no, I gotta get you to the other side. Go back to down dog and then we'll give you a handstand practice. George, we're always trying to kill you after your birthday, you know? We're trying to test you.
It's a new pose that they're yoga pose.
Let's go left leg to the sky. Big step forward into that lunge. Come on. All these like students of mine that teach, and they're always like, oh, but what's the alignment in every pose? I'm always like for years, it's like it's this. It's like you're standing tall. So like you know it. We all need reminders, but like visualize that. Like put that into your mind and into your body. And as you make the transition, then you just learn to hold it. Arms forward and up. So then you don't get this droopy, saggy pose. You already know what good posture is. You ever had grandma like poke you? I used to poke my sister in the upper back. Stand up tall, sis. You're gonna take your hands to the floor. And then even as you're down here, right? Handstand is just standing upside down. So place the hands strong and steady, rock up onto the tippy toes, lean forward with straight arms, keep pushing the mat away, and then make that light little hop switch. You don't even have to come off the floor very high. Just, your feet can be right next to each other. You just learn to jump and switch and switch and switch until you get a little lightness. And you imagine it to be quite a challenging thing once in a while. Okay, let's go to the wall now. Now that we got you through both sides. Sarah, will you come here so I can touch your mat? What's that? Yeah, you can come on this front wall, totally. This floor feels extra slippery to me. I always feel like the fall on my face.
Get downer.
What's that?
Get downer.
It would be a funny video if we caught it, though. Come on. Hilarious that I fall on my face. Okay, so we're going to revisit a few of these drills. So here's the shoulder action thing. It's this, right? I want to be here. I want to be able to push the mat away. The key thing that you got to be careful when you do this, I don't know if you can see this, is not this, right? And a lot of us students, we lift our shoulders up, our neck muscles, all these trapezius muscles, are tight and are overworked, so they grab our shoulder joint and pull it in up. And the shoulder blade wings out like that. We don't want that. We want to keep our shoulder blades straight up and down like this, and then elevate them. So not straight up. No tension in the neck. Very hard at first to learn how to hold this in the shoulder. That's why I spend so much time trying to teach this to you, because it's an important stability that most of us could use some practice on. So you can do this in L pose, you can do it even in down dog. You just come here, you learn to push the mat away, as if I'm rolling my elbows forward. Neck is soft, I can do it up in L pose. I'm gonna bump into this thing at some point, but I can even walk in, toes to the wall, head to the wall. This is the most advanced. Push away, and then let the tension out. Learn how to hold at the top until you can hold handstand for a minute without freaking out. At the top there. Okay, try that. I can help you if you need any assistance with this. This is just like a boring position drill that you gotta spend time working on so that it does become easy after a while. You can turn around and kick out. Don't walk in if you have any concern about walking out. Walking away from the wall is harder than walking towards the wall. You can do it here. I wouldn't if you feel any compression in your wrist, like any pain, your hands most likely are losing power. Anytime you get a little ache and pain, it's probably trying to tell you what needs to happen here. And you gotta start somewhere and just progress little by little. Once in a while, keeps moving. The wall's messing with you always. Okay, let me give you a few drills. So that's just the shoulder piece. Can I draw this again? Because like you're not going to be very good at kicking up the wall and holding handstand until you can do this in a like static shape for time. Like if you've built the body awareness, then we can teach you how to get up into this. So I showed this drill last week. Here's the drill to work on. If you cannot get up to the wall yet, here's the drill. You work to elbows. Strong leg, you suck the leg in, you roll the inner thigh up. So I don't want this and my leg to be all loose and all over the place. That's key, is I keep this contained so that when I swing my leg, it's not my foot that I'm trying to get up there. It's the heavy part. You want your butt and all that to move. If you just fling your foot, you're not going to get up, or you're not going to go very far. So again, leg, I want to connect this to my butt. And then I go back to the wall, I go all the way down, never letting the moving leg bend, and then back up. And I learn to put the brakes on by this turn in at the top. Then when you start to get that, all you're learning to do is that's the jumping leg. If I don't even need to leave the floor very far. Turn in, I jump, I switch. Or I turn and I stabilize, I jump, and I come down like nothing happens. So none of this, or like you're like freaking out. You're just trying to jump and land. Like very beginner. Jump, land, same foot, switch foot, and then on and on. Those of you that can get up, try jumping with your off leg. Try jumping up to handstand with the leg you don't normally jump with, and you'll probably get better at your jump. I know I gave you like 4 drills, so when you're confused, wave me over and I will help you. Or I will give you guidance. Yeah, you should work together. Because you get from the same ballpark of strong, we can hold this and can be more consistent.
Yeah, so I just want to so if I'm doing that, we ground like this leg, just hold it up.
Yeah, you want me to hold that and just kind of move it. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, let's see if we can hold it.
That's the idea.
Should I go back?
You've got
Yeah. But that's where I just keep balance. Okay, come down.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Another thing you guys.
It shouldn't turn on. You're doing a good job.
Go that way. Sometimes that's it. So work on
Yeah.
Okay. In between your calves. In between calves. You can jump here. Oh, no. Go ahead. Just, I don't want to jump. So, you, like, put the right to your stomach.
support.
Like, yeah. Like,
Which way?
I'm gonna go up with this one, but let me play with it first. Press for your right arm.
That's the idea, Sarah, though. It's like, just be okay with that, because you're good. Don't let that leg turn out, though. That's what we're talking about. And that leg, and that's what's going to keep you up. Good shape. Sure. The problem is, like, you know, we can give you 100 things to think about in handstand, so you end up like, it's a good idea to pick like 2, 3 swing thoughts.
Okay.
4 independent things. Yeah, it's a great thing. It's a totally great thing.
You want to try it again?
But Sarah, looks better. That turning, feel that? Like when the leg doesn't quite turn in, you lose your power. You think you're going higher, but you're not going to get it. So don't jump. Don't worry about this leg.
Okay.
Get this to the wall.
All right, here we go.
See how you want to get your, you want the feet to the wall.
There you go.
Yeah, and you can squeeze tight. Squeeze. Squeeze like your inner thighs together, try to break her fist. Nice.
Wow.
Next time I see you, I will give you the next. I'll probably forget it because let's stay on the wall. Actually, we're gonna do that. We're gonna thigh stretch since we're here. Right knee on the wall. We'll call this the most important stretch there ever was. So knee on the wall, toes up, and then you can work your butt back to the wall. Let's do that one first, Sarah. You go first. Sorry. All right, so I'll do this with you. Your first goal, let's say, is just to even to let your butt go back and try to get your seat to the wall. If that's going okay, you can even lean back, take your shoulders and head to the wall. Now, lean forward a little bit. Here's the real work. Scoop your butt under. You should already feel your back leg bar a lot more. Butt to the ground, pubic bone lifts, and then take it back again, and that should be more important. Same deal. Imagine you put your shoulders, your arms, your head all back on the wall. Work your butt muscles. Really try to turn them on, especially in the back. It's the back leg that you're going to be able to turn on. Get all that ripping, burning. Take your time there. You can move, you go in it. Always make that pose the same. So that knee down there. That means that the other foot out there. You just have to get one more instant. That's it. Everybody else can switch sides. It's too much, too. Take your knee out of the wall a little bit. It'll be less intense. Same thing on the second side. When poses are uncomfortable, it's a good reminder to be like, remember posture? Yeah. Because I do that too, and you go, ooh, that doesn't feel good. And you like move around your body away from it. Nice and tall. First goal is just to like bow a little, hip crease, top of the thigh bone back to the wall. That's just kind of getting some basic movement in there. Then just take your hips off the wall a little bit. Scoop your tailbone under hard. So butt down, belly up, ribs contained. Then take it back. Yeah, and the more you scoop, obviously you're going to stretch on the front of your hip flexor there even more. And then you can, you work, try to get your seat on the wall, you get your shoulders, the back of your head on the wall. Here's another thing you can do. You can take, so opposite arm up. So if it's your left leg on the wall, your left arm goes up, and you can pull and stretch that left side. It's the same as the back leg, is the one you You can do both, but the back one is the one that's going to really be the goodie. That's it. Like you're trying to pull your ribs back here, you're trying to lift this up too, even. Because that's where the muscle is. It's here and it hooks to the throat. Most of you know we always do these in two, so first side again. I don't think anybody needs this, but if you tuck your toes under, it's even more intense. Like when you put your toes on the wall, screwing toes, screwing your feet to ankles. Do it there once you're there. If you'd like to push your hips this way a little bit. There you go. And then take a shorter. Yeah, that's good. You know, so you're not you're like shifting out. All right, so this time, once you get up, same idea of tuck the tailbone under, scoop your butt down, pull your belly up, and then see if you can lunge down to the floor, keeping your chest lifted. A little bit at a time. You guys know why I think this is the most important pose? Because like it's all of the opening that we don't do if we're sitting or all of us folded forward. So it's like getting your front body back open. Like you can, standing desks and all that shit. But like you really want to stretch these parts of our front body tends to be tight, and our back body tends to be weak. So these are two big things I am always thinking about addressing. All right, second side, last side. Because for a lot of us, these hip flexors, iliopsoas complex can be so tight that for some folks, and you'll see like emotional outbursts in people when they start like opening up and getting into these areas. So, I mean, there's a lot of like, there's stuff that I don't even understand about like kind of psychologically how we hold our bodies, and very much contributes to some of the physical issues we have, but also just psychological stuff. Well, so you get away from the butt to the floor, but chest up, proud and tall. That's it. It's cow. That's right in my head. I said cow because I knew I remembered that. That's why I wasn't sure I remember. Yeah. So let's see. There's something kind of funny about like if somebody pushes on you a little in a moderately intense way. It's just like tells your nervous system, you'll be okay. Nice job, guys. All right, come on out. Come on back and bring your mats back. Let's go a little bit later. All fours, hands and knees when you get back. So from all fours, you're going to take your right leg out to the right, like hip distance here. Or like, as high as you can lift it, I guess it's really important. Is your foot asleep? Don't let your foot be asleep. And then do a few pulses, trying to get the knee, and you'll start to feel these outer hip and butt muscles. That's the muscles that are doing this, right? So see if you can actually start to connect to them. Turn your belly slightly to the left, away from that leg or your chest, slightly. Good. And put the knee down, switch sides, do the other side. So the first one is just, you're just trying to like figure out what the hell's going on here and make the muscles do their work. Keep your belly in so that you're not letting your abdomen sag. And then little pulses, just like kind of right at the top, see if you can figure out how to get more contraction out of that. Outer knee draws to outer butt. Good. All right, come back down. Let's do it. Take the right arm, just right arm down. You're going to twist onto your shoulder. As you settle here, first keep your knees really heavy, especially your left knee. And as you breathe and open up, so this position, you know, I keep saying like good posture. Can you make your posture as if you're standing tall here? Like not completely right, but that's the idea. You can slide your arm, that grounded arm, through a little bit more as you hold. Keep your left knee heavy, start to roll towards the back of your head. Eventually, yeah, you do, this looks like a weird shoulders. You literally roll all the way to the back of your head. Where it's possible. Alright, come on out of there, switch to the other side. Yeah, so you do a left arm down, roll through and twist. When you breathe into the restricted areas. It's probably, you know, the middle of your rib cage, the sides, and even the back side of your ribs. Try to, with each breath, create a lot of space in there. And as you exhale, that's where you can start to move into that space as this opens up. Your breath does more, you know, the huge thing is it helps calm your nervous system down and deactivate that sympathetic nervous system. But the space that when your lungs expand literally creates pressure and movement and stretch. All of that, keep trying to work towards the back of the head. So you take a little more influential, slow your shoulder back, keep that. You just make sure if you need this back, you're not going to have good power to keep your traction. So there's the double forward. Get that far. It's because like that, keep all right, back to into these all fours. Let's do one more of these leg things. Right knee out to the side. If you want more challenge, straighten your leg. Now, so up high, take the knee forward, the leg forward, but think up. Really, for today, we're just trying to get that out of the way. Up, 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 forward, forward, forward. Now sweep the leg all the way back. Bend the knee, so you're like this. So squeeze your knee in. Your foot and your ankle go out. And that should lock the leg in. And then pump the heel to the sky. Keep your belly in. Don't let your spine shape change. Glutes tight. Try to get the inner part of the leg to move more. Let that knee in the midline move more. Okay, bring the knee to the floor. You can do a little wiggle, maybe a little quick rock out of that. activate all this stuff, and then it'll help you to get in here afterwards to stretch it. So knee out, leg can be straight, pump up. You pull the leg forward, but up. Try to get that foot up off the ground. Burn it out. All right, and then back. This should be an easy one. Bend the knee, heel to the ceiling. Knee hugs to the middle. Foot widens out. And then pump up. So you grab hold of the strength of your hamstrings and your glutes as you pump that leg up. Even your low back muscles. For me, I'm so, like, if I can identify the muscle, it's so much easier for me to understand what I'm doing and how it works. Yeah, that's it. Basically, I'm just trying to make sure you don't push consistently. Yeah. All right, hands and knees. Now bring the right knee into pigeon pose, let it forward and out to the right. And then wiggle your way deeply down into this. Oh yeah. All right, come up, pull your knees together. So you can have your hands on the ground. You can have them on blocks. If you can do it without your hands on the ground, go for that. Even the next stage would be tall chest. Hands behind your hips. Pull the legs up. So you lengthen, you loop your shoulders back. Keep strengthening your legs. Push down into the floor, sink deeper. You might be able to touch the ground. Then pull into it again. Up, draw up, pelvic floor up, lean back. Keep the upper body like that. Drive knees down to the floor again. Go ahead. And then fold. You can even try to do it without your hands. Even while you're down there, the back knee can keep sliding straight to the back of the mat. Making sure, to the best of your ability, your pelvis stays level and square. Squared forward. Always breathe into those restricted areas. Take your time, be patient with whatever is going on for you. Walk the hands over to the right, so that you are laying, like, basically right on top of your right thigh. Try sliding your knee out, right? If your knee doesn't like yours, does it?
No.
It's just like out like that. And then drag it down a little more. Then walk over here. Yeah, you can turn, right? Because then you just give yourself compression. Maybe. Now walk the hands the other way. So go over to the left. Or you can go just to the left past center and take your right arm under down to the floor. So you're twisting down onto your right shoulder. That's the idea. Yeah, cyclists don't like external rotation. Most athletes don't. Yeah. All right, back up to center. Slowly switch back through. You can just go to all fours unless you want to do down dog. Just pigeon pose on the left side. Alright, knees together, pull towards each other and come up. So that thing about keeping your hips square, if you grab the rim of your pelvis, that you should be able to see, so are we tipping to one side or the other? So figure that out. And then, so you have like this way, and you also have rotationally. Those are the two common things that people will have trouble with. So pull your knees together, rise up. Those little ASIS, those little notches on the front of your hip, that rises up. Keep your chest rising, push your knees down and apart, try to sit deeper like an elevator. Do it again. Rise up, back, ribs back, shoulders back, and strongly push down. And then go forward. If you're very mobile, these strength challenges are going to be your friends, learning how to, really support in those positions. Is it both knees that give you trouble? Same deal here. If you take your knee up wide, it actually is going to make it nicer. How's that feel? You okay there? Good. That ankle. So that's over there. It's coming along with it. Come along and it takes time with some of those injuries.
It's a big thing with how me because I can't even rotate my torso.
And stuff on the feet. Alright, start to walk your hands to the left. Turn and fold down onto your left thigh. Yeah, I know. Maybe your movement's not that far. It's okay. Really what's important is breathe, stay present in what you're doing. So there's always you're active in what you're doing. There are times, I generally won't teach much passive anything, but there is a time and place for certain things to be done passively. And here it's get your money's work, be active, you're training not only your body, but your brain. You're really learning about how this works in you. Walk your hands back to center, over to the other side, to the right. Twist down, sweeping your left shoulder to the floor. Lori, I'm sorry. I know you're out there watching me. As I heckle the students and I forget I have a mic on. Nice job, guys. All right, come on out of there. Land your back. Broke the hips spread. All right, just lay down. We do just a quick little bridge to reset the spine shape. Bend your knees, place your feet parallel to each other, hip distance apart, and then seal the back of the head down, the elbows, the shoulders down, puffing up your chest. And even like really lift the base of the sternum, and then lift your hips. You can do this actually with just keeping your butt on the floor. Because imagine, like, by the way you push your arms and your head down, that, like, solar plexus, xiphoid process, that right at the bottom piece of your sternum lifts. And the back muscles are what lift, right? And sit your butt down to the floor slowly, just try to maximize that curve. And the strength, the musculature that holds you there. But when you get butt to the floor, a couple easy windshield wipers. The knee that's turning in, that's the knee that we care about here. That's the leg we're trying to take. Presumably, you're dominant there, most likely you are. That also will take you over that kind of roll in as quiet and loosen your nice guys. Okay, back to center, bring your knees into your chest, keep your legs up. Good. And then so keep the right knee, release the left leg all the way back to the floor. And clasp behind the knee or behind the thigh. Push the leg back into your hands. So don't even worry about legs straight. In fact, don't let the leg be straight. Push the leg into your hands until the knee is over your hip. Or there backwards. Then play with taking the heel to the ceiling and straightening the leg. So this is nerve flossing. So you will. Some of you may not feel a lot. A lot of you probably like around the knee joint, above and below and behind, will feel tension there. If you keep doing that, you put a little bend in the knee, you push the leg back into your hands, then heel to the sky. And the more you flex the foot, the more tricky that gets, or the spicier that gets. Yeah, those of you that want, if you can get your leg totally straight, then you can walk your hands up your leg and do more of a thigh, or hamstring stretch. Okay, take the leg across your body, twisting. Right arm reaches out to the floor. Yep. Just yell at the one there. All right, release the right leg to the floor, left knee into your chest. So hold the back of the leg. So you're pushing the leg into your hands and then playing around with straightening out the heel. And working little pulses of that. So, people will call this like nerve flossing. The other thing that is getting, if you get that really sharp burning, like in isolated spots behind your knee, that's generally fascia. That's not, that's where the connective, it's just different connective tissue getting stretched differently. getting energized and engaged differently. It goes a long way though when you do some of that work. Like it will change, but it's going to take time. Especially connective tissue stuff. It takes a long time. Like it takes like 6 months plus to a year of regular work to really make changes. Okay, take your leg across your body and twist. I feel like for some folks that's like a bummer to hear, but it's like this is your body. Like your body is not, it needs movements. It needs to do things regularly that kind of exploit all of its abilities, all of the movements that it can do. Nice and wide, breathe deeply. Then back to center, knees into your chest. Give yourself a last hug. It's basically hold your feet, happy baby pose. Any last little gentle pose that you would like to do. Yeah. And then your feet there. And then Shavasana. Taking your time to stretch out and get comfortable. Yeah, I'll do this. Take your time to get set and settled so you can truly relax. Enjoy your breath. Enjoy the way your body feels as you start to move and stretch. Taking your time to work your way back up to a seated position. And that same moment of remembrance for the gratitude or the value that you hold for taking the time to do this, for spending the time here, for carving it out, and all the things that are required of you to make this happen. As you bring your hands together in front of your heart, do it with great honor for yourself, thanking yourself for all of those things. Take a breath. Keep your heart lifting.